It had been 19 years since the Battle of Hogwarts, and though the castle stood tall and strong once again, time had not entirely healed its wounds. Students came and went, their laughter and mischief echoing through stone corridors as always, but some corners of the school still whispered when no one was near, especially the Headmaster's tower. Harry Potter, now a respected Auror and part-time Defense Against the Dark Arts lecturer, had returned to Hogwarts on invitation. Professor McGonagall, aging but unshaken, had asked him to guest teach a few classes and examine certain unusual magical disturbances reported by the staff. To Harry, Hogwarts had always felt like home, but as he stepped through the gates, a strange chill met him. It wasn't just the wind, it was something else. Something watching. On his first night back, Harry stayed in the guest chambers next to the Headmaster's tower, the very place once occupied by Albus Dumbledore and, briefly, Severus Snape. It was well past midnight when he awoke, heart pounding, to the soft but distinct sound of someone whispering his name. Harry. He sat up in bed. Silence. The room was dark except for the faint glow of the fire. He waited, wand in hand. Nothing. Shaking his head, he convinced himself it was a dream. But when he turned to lay back down, he saw it, faint and flickering, like smoke shaped into a man, hovering just beyond the window. A ghost, but not like the others. This ghost was different. It didn't glow or drift like the Bloody Baron or nearly headless Nick. It pulsed with a darker energy, a flicker of emotion that felt angry, unresolved. Its eyes, if one could call them that, were fixed on Harry with a look of recognition. Next morning, Harry questioned the portraits in the Headmaster's tower, especially that of Dumbledore, whose eyes sparkled with both fondness and worry. I feared this day might come, the portrait muttered. There are spirits, Harry, not born of death, but of betrayal. Some ghosts don't belong to the past. Some belong to secrets never told. Harry pressed further, but Dumbledore's portrait refused to say more. The other portraits, Black, Snape, even Phineas Nigellus, remained uncharacteristically silent. Something ancient was haunting the tower, and it wasn't just a memory. As days passed, the hauntings grew worse. Students began reporting flickering lights, icy drafts, and a cold voice whispering riddles in the dark. One young Ravenclaw girl swore she saw a man in an old-fashioned cloak standing at the top of the tower, just watching. Another claimed that books were flying from shelves in the restricted section. McGonagall, though skeptical, couldn't deny that the magical energy in the tower had changed. Harry knew he had to act. Late one night, he climbed the spiral staircase alone, armed only with his wand and the Marauder's map. The moment he stepped into the top room, the former Headmaster's study, he felt it again, that cold, sentient presence. The air shimmered, and then, without warning, the fireplace roared to life. From the flames, a shape emerged. It looked like a man, tall and cloaked, but his face was a blur of shadow and flickering silver. The room trembled. Why have you come? Back? The ghostly figure rasped. Harry raised his wand. Who are you? What do you want? The ghost floated forward, swirling with something between smoke and memory. You knew him. You trusted him. But even he had secrets. Dumbledore? Harry asked. The figure's form twisted with emotion. No, the one before. The one who never left. Harry's mind raced. Before Dumbledore, that would have been Armando Dippet. But he died peacefully, didn't he? The ghost didn't answer. Instead, it began to chant a phrase, over and over, until the walls shook with its power. 3 truths buried, 1 will rise. When the child returns, the tower cries. And then, as suddenly as it appeared, it was gone. The next day, Harry pored through old Hogwarts records, With the help of Hermione, now the Minister for Magic, he discovered something chilling. During Dippett's tenure as headmaster, a student had vanished, not expelled, not transferred, just vanished. The incident had been erased from the official records, hidden under layers of enchantments, but not from the tower. The ghost, Harry now understood, was not just a wandering spirit. It was a manifestation of a covered-up tragedy, one tied to the very core of Hogwarts. And somehow, it was waking up. Whatever happened decades ago was unfinished, and Harry, once again, was at the heart of a mystery far older and darker than he imagined. The name Alwyn Thorne had never appeared in any known Hogwarts registry. Yet buried deep in the restricted section, inside a weathered, warded ledger bound in dragonhide, Harry found a single sentence scribbled in faded ink beside the year 1938. Student missing, last seen near the Headmaster's tower, no body, recovered. Investigation sealed by order of Headmaster Dippet. Nothing more. Harry sat in the library long after curfew, his wand casting a soft lumos over the ancient page. The words felt heavier than they should have, as if the parchment itself mourned. He glanced around the dimly lit rows of books. Despite the silence, he felt watched. The ghost hadn't appeared again, but its presence loomed like a storm cloud, refusing to break. He needed answers, more than dusty books could offer. The portraits had gone quiet. Even Dumbledore's refused to look at him now. So Harry turned to someone else who knew secrets, the Sorting Hat. In the dead of night, Harry climbed back to the tower. The old stone stairs creaked under his boots as he approached the headmaster's study. The room welcomed him with a tense silence. He stepped toward the high shelf where the Sorting Hat sat, as inert as ever. "I need to speak to you," Harry whispered, placing it on the table. To his surprise, the hat's mouth opened immediately. "Not all truths are meant to be sung, Potter," the hat rasped. "But the tower remembers, and it's remembering more each night." Who was Alwyn Thorne? The hat was silent for a long time. Then, slowly, she was a Ravenclaw, brilliant, isolated, and dangerously gifted. Her magic bent toward the hidden arts, magic not taught but instinctively known. They said she dreamed of doorways that didn't exist until she found one. Harry leaned in. "A secret room?" "No," the Sorting Hat replied. "A secret place. One buried under the tower. A space so old it predates Hogwarts itself." Chills ran through Harry. "What happened to her?" They tried to silence her, said she was losing her mind. "But she didn't vanish, Potter. She was taken, or sealed." Harry stood in stunned silence. If this was true, then the haunting was no ordinary ghost. It was the scream of a consciousness trapped beyond death, a magical being imprisoned between walls of time. The next day, Harry met with Professor Firenze, the centaur who had returned to teach divination. In the flickering light of the enchanted ceiling in the astronomy tower, Firenze listened carefully as Harry recounted everything: the whispers, the diary entries, the name Alwyn Thorne. Firenze's blue eyes narrowed. "The stars show great imbalance. Something was disturbed, something bound. You say the ghost spoke in riddles?" Harry repeated the ghost's words. "3 truths buried, 1 will rise. When the child returns, the tower cries." Firenze looked to the sky. A prophecy. Perhaps not a new one. Centaurs have whispered of a sealed power beneath Hogwarts for generations. Something tied to blood and betrayal. You may be standing in its echo. That evening, as storm clouds gathered over the castle, Harry stood at the base of the headmaster's tower and stared upward. Lightning forked in the sky, illuminating the silhouette of the spire. For a moment, he swore he saw her, Alwyn, standing at the window, her spectral face blank but her eyes pleading. He wasn't alone for long. "Did you find what you needed?" McGonagall's voice broke the trance. "I found something worse," Harry said quietly. "We didn't build Hogwarts atop a castle, we built it over a prison." She looked shaken. "And the prisoner isn't dead." "Not exactly," Harry said. "She's trapped, screaming to be remembered." McGonagall exhaled sharply. "What do you plan to do?" Harry stared at the old stone wall before him. "I think I have to go back into the tower, all the way to the top. There's a door there. I saw it once, years ago, behind Dumbledore's bookshelves. It was always locked." Her voice lowered. "That door has no key." Harry turned to her. "Then I'll use a wand." As he stepped back into the headmaster's study that night, the storm finally broke. Rain hammered the ancient windows as thunder cracked across the sky. Harry cleared away the bookshelves, revealing a smooth slab of stone with faint runes, ones he couldn't read. But his wand reacted the moment it neared. A sudden pulse of magic flared outward. The tower trembled. From deep within the stone, a woman's voice echoed. Not through the air, but inside his mind. "You see me now. But will you remember me?" And with a grinding of ancient gears, the wall slid open to reveal a black spiral staircase descending into darkness. Harry stepped forward. Behind him, the door sealed shut. The staircase beneath the headmaster's tower spiraled downward with no end in sight, carved from a stone so dark it seemed to absorb his wand light. With each cautious step Harry took, the temperature dropped further, and the echo of his footfalls grew quieter, as though even sound refused to linger in this place. The walls pulsed faintly with forgotten magic. Ancient wards, long dormant, stirred awake. Harry wasn't just descending into a forgotten basement. This place was older than the castle. Older, maybe, than the founders themselves. The staircase finally gave way to a narrow passage, and at its end stood a rusted iron door carved with a crest he didn't recognize. A fifth house, perhaps, or a symbol never meant to be understood. Its lines twisted like serpents, looping in on themselves to form the shape of an eye. He raised his wand. "Alohomora." Nothing. Instead, a voice answered. "Only memory opens what time has buried." Harry froze. It wasn't a ghost this time. The voice didn't echo. It was inside him, vibrating in his chest like a second heartbeat. He stepped back. "Who are you?" No response. Then he remembered the Sorting Hat's words. She dreamed of doorways, until she found one. Maybe this door didn't open with magic. Maybe it opened with truth. Memory. He closed his eyes, and for the first time in years, he let himself remember what Hogwarts had always meant. Not just magic, not just war, but the choices made in silence, the ones no one ever saw. Severus Snape, walking silently into the night to protect a child. Dumbledore, hiding terrible secrets behind wise eyes. Tom Riddle, charming teachers while building his kingdom of fear in the shadows. And Harry, carrying everyone's burden, but never truly understanding the weight of the castle itself. He pressed his hand to the door and whispered, "Alwyn Thorne." The metal groaned. Slowly, painfully, it began to open. Beyond the threshold was a chamber unlike anything Harry had ever seen at Hogwarts. The ceiling arched high above, lost in darkness, and the walls were covered in carved runes, moving, shifting, alive. In the center, floating above a stone pedestal, was a diary. Not a Horcrux. Not dark and cursed. This one shimmered gold and silver, its pages fluttering as if in wind that wasn't there. Harry stepped forward, his every instinct on alert. When he touched the diary, a jolt of magic surged through his arm. Images exploded into his mind, fast, violent, uncontrollable. A girl, no older than 15, standing in the astronomy tower, her eyes wild with fear. A secret duel with a professor who tried to silence her. A scream lost in the void. And then, silence. Harry collapsed to his knees. His breath came ragged, the visions faded, but the pain did not. This was Alwyn's diary. He opened it. The first entry was short, barely legible. I found it. The door. It sings to me in my dreams. Sai. Harry turned the pages. He felt her presence, raw and brilliant. She had been a prodigy, mastering spells beyond her age, understanding magical theory even Flitwick would find baffling. But she had grown isolated. She'd discovered a passage beneath the tower. She believed it to be a gateway, not just to knowledge, but to something ancient, and someone hadn't wanted her to find it. One entry stopped Harry cold. He warned me, said if I spoke, they'd take everything. He wears a red ring. I think he's not a teacher. I think he's something else. A red ring. Harry's thoughts raced. He'd seen a man with a ruby ring in a memory once, Tom Riddle's memory. But he had also seen it in another context. Grindelwald. Was it possible that someone tied to Grindelwald had infiltrated Hogwarts even then? Had Alwyn discovered it? Had she been silenced? The diary ended abruptly. No last page. No farewell. Harry looked up, and the chamber was no longer empty. She stood before him, young, translucent, but fully formed. Alwyn Thorne. Her ghostly figure shimmered, not like the other Hogwarts ghosts, but like a living memory, anchored to the room. "You found it," she said softly. "You remembered me," Harry's voice caught. "What happened to you?" Her eyes, once glowing with curiosity, now brimmed with sorrow. "They locked me here. Not just my body, my magic. They said I knew too much, that I had seen too much." "Who?" Harry demanded. "Who did this to you?" But her form wavered, flickering like a candle fighting wind. "The one with the red ring." He was not alone. They wore masks. They swore an oath to a silence deeper than death. Harry's heart pounded. "Why me? Why appear now?" She looked directly at him. "Because the tower cries. The door is opening again, and this time, it won't be just me." A crack echoed through the chamber. The door slammed shut behind him, and then the carvings on the wall began to move. Faster, spelling words in a forgotten language. Harry gripped his wand. Something was waking, and whatever it was had been sealed down here with her. Only now it wasn't sleeping anymore.